The bustling streets of New York City have always served as a vivid backdrop for the public and private lives of the world's most celebrated figures, a place where private moments are frequently captured under the unrelenting gaze of the public eye. On a crisp afternoon in Brooklyn, amidst the familiar rhythm of the city, a scene unfolded that would quietly capture the attention of observers and spark intense speculation across the entertainment world. A prominent figure, deeply woven into the fabric of contemporary American music, was seen taking a conventional stroll, an everyday activity that would ordinarily pass without notice. Yet, in the world of high-profile relationships, even the smallest detail can carry immense weight, and the presence of a single gleaming band of gold on a left hand can speak volumes when silence otherwise prevails. This seemingly routine walk through the neighborhood, undertaken alongside family and a loyal pet, immediately became a focal point for those trying to read between the lines of a story that has gripped headlines. As the cameras clicked from a distance, documenting a moment of casual relaxation, the image generated far more questions than answers, reminding us how deeply invested we become in the personal chapters of the artists whose work shapes our cultural landscape. Before we dive into the intricate layers of this unfolding narrative and explore what this moment might truly signify for two major stars, we invite you to take a brief moment to subscribe to our channel, ensuring you never miss an update on the stories that define the pulse of modern culture. The setting itself, Brooklyn, carries a specific weight for those who follow the trajectory of modern music, acting as a creative sanctuary and a personal home base for an artist who has spent over 2 decades crafting some of the most recognizable sounds of a generation. Walking with a steady, unhurried pace, the musician moved through the urban landscape dressed in an entirely casual attire that contrasted sharply with the massive stadium-sized energy of his professional life. Sporting a classic blue New York Knicks graphic t-shirt, simple black athletic shorts, matching dark socks, and comfortable brown walking shoes, he presented the image of a man seeking a moment of normalcy amidst a swirling storm of media attention and intense public scrutiny. Beside him was his sister, a respected fashion designer and longtime creative confidant in her own right, providing a sense of familial grounding during an outing that was ostensibly about nothing more than grabbing a daily coffee and giving a dog some fresh air. Yet, the absence of another highly recognizable face, a critically acclaimed actress who has shared his life for the past few years, was a glaring omission that did not escape the notice of anyone paying close attention to the scene. The world of celebrity culture is uniquely attuned to these subtle shifts in routine, where the presence or absence of a partner or the sudden reappearance of a specific piece of jewelry can signal a profound shift in a relationship long before any official statements are delivered to the press. For months, the public has watched this couple with admiration, viewing their bond as a rare and genuine connection in an industry often defined by fleeting romances and superficial alignments. He had previously spoken with immense vulnerability about the profound impact she had on his life, describing their initial meeting in terms that mirrored the classic sweeping romance of an old-school film, an encounter that fundamentally altered his perspective on the future and opened his mind to milestones he had never previously considered. This backdrop of deep, publicly expressed devotion is precisely why the current situation has generated such a wave of intrigue, as observers attempt to reconcile the image of total romantic certainty with the ambiguous, quiet reality of the present moment. The gold band resting firmly on his left ring finger during this Brooklyn walk serves as a powerful symbol, a visual anchor to a commitment made in a highly publicized ceremony just a few short years ago, even as recent developments suggest that the foundation of that commitment is facing its most significant challenge yet. In the fast-paced cycle of modern media, where rumors can amplify exponentially within a matter of hours, the choice to maintain a physical symbol of marriage becomes a statement in itself, a silent counter-narrative to the definitive declarations of separation that have begun to circulate through major media outlets. This tension between public reportage and personal symbolism creates a compelling atmosphere of mystery, drawing the audience into a deeper contemplation of how public figures navigate the complexities of partnership under a constant spotlight. The sisters' presence on this walk further underscores the protective, insular world that high-profile individuals often retreat into when their private lives become the subject of intense global conversation, relying on the unwavering support of those who knew them long before the fame arrived. As they moved past local storefronts and navigated the familiar sidewalks, the The contrast between the artist's low-key appearance and his towering status as a multi-Grammy-winning producer and frontman could not have been starker. This is a man whose sonic signature is embedded in some of the biggest pop hits of the 21st century, a relentless worker whose dedication to the studio has made him an indispensable collaborator for the world's grandest musical icons. To see him thus, stripped of the glamour of the stage and the prestige of the recording booth, dealing with the quiet domestic reality of a changing personal life, adds a deeply human element to a story that might otherwise be dismissed as mere tabloid fodder. The narrative that is beginning to take shape around this couple is one of profound transition, a period of questioning and reevaluation that challenges the initial fairy tale perceptions that surrounded their early days together. Every detail of their recent public movements or lack thereof is being meticulously analyzed by a global audience hungry for clarity, yet the individuals at the center of the story continue to maintain a guarded silence, allowing their actions and their choices of attire to speak for them. The gold ring remains the ultimate piece of evidence in this opening chapter, an undeniable presence that complicates the narrative of a clean break and suggests that the story of this marriage is far more nuanced, emotional, and unresolved than a simple headline could ever hope to capture, as the image of that solitary gold ring on the streets of Brooklyn continues to circulate. It forces a deeper examination into the sudden and unexpected cracks that have formed in what many believe to be one of the entertainment industry's most resilient unions. To truly understand the gravity of the current situation, one must look closely at the rapid succession of events and digital clues that brought this relationship to a sudden turning point, transforming a celebrated romance into a subject of intense public concern. The first tremor in the foundation of their public facade occurred not on the streets or through an official spokesperson, but in the digital realm, where modern relationships are so often documented, validated, and, occasionally, dismantled. The acclaimed actress, known for her deeply emotional performances and her lineage within Hollywood royalty, took the definitive step of purging her personal social media platform of nearly every trace of her husband. For an audience accustomed to tracking the health of celebrity romances through their online presence, this digital erasure was a loud and unmistakable signal that something was profoundly amiss. Photographs detailing their beautiful, star-studded wedding ceremony in New Jersey, images that had previously been shared with pride and celebrated by millions of fans worldwide, suddenly vanished from her feed, leaving behind a stark and telling emptiness that immediately ignited a firestorm of media speculation. Though she would later quietly restore a significant portion of her personal archive, the deliberate and permanent omission of those specific wedding photographs remained a glaring testament to an ongoing crisis. A visual confirmation that the magic of that summer day in 2023 had encountered a harsh and unforgiving reality. This digital distancing was soon followed by an equally telling absence in the physical world, specifically during one of the high society events of the year. When a globally dominant pop icon and a professional football champion celebrated their high-profile wedding, the music producer attended the multi-day celebration accompanied not by his wife, but once again by his sister. For a couple that had previously been inseparable at major industry gatherings, her absence from both the intimate rehearsal dinner and the main wedding ceremony was a monumental clue that could not be explained away by simple scheduling conflicts. Investigative efforts quickly dismantled the initial theories that her absence was merely due to the grueling demands of a film set, confirming that she had already wrapped production on her recent project and was not scheduled to begin her next major film role for some time. With professional obligations ruled out as an excuse, the public was left with the unmistakable conclusion that the distance between the couple was deliberate, a physical manifestation of a growing emotional divide that was rapidly becoming impossible to ignore. As the pressure mounted, major media outlets began to confirm the somber reality, with high-profile publications reporting that the couple had indeed hit a dangerously rocky patch and were actively trying to figure out how to navigate an increasingly difficult path forward. Sources close to the situation painted a picture that was far removed from the idealized romance the public had grown accustomed to, describing a domestic life increasingly defined by frequent arguments and the immense, unyielding pressures of two competing world-class careers. The reality of a modern entertainment marriage often involves a brutal logistical math, where one partner is bound to the intense, unpredictable schedule of film sets around the globe. while the other is trapped in the endless cycle of late-night recording studio sessions and grueling international concert tours. This constant separation, combined with the intense creative focus required by both of their respective crafts, created an environment where maintaining a shared life became an exhausting uphill battle. The strain of this lifestyle began to bleed directly into the musician's professional output, manifesting in a heartbreaking creative choice that did not escape the notice of his most dedicated followers. On his band's recent tour, a deeply personal and romantic track written specifically about his wife, a song that had previously served as a nightly celebration of their bond, was suddenly and completely excised from the concert setlist. For an artist who pours his rawest personal experiences into his music, removing this specific tribute was an incredibly heavy gesture, signaling that performing those lyrics had become too painful or too contradictory to endure in light of their current domestic struggles. Further cementing the reality of this separation was a subtle yet profound change to the actress's digital identity itself, an alteration that spoke volumes to those familiar with the history of their romance. For years, her online username had been a direct poetic nod to one of her husband's musical compositions, a beautiful piece of art dedicated to her that served as a public badge of her role as his muse. The sudden abandonment of that meaningful handle in favor of a standard, conventional username was perhaps the most definitive proof of a desire to reclaim her independent identity, stepping away from the shared artistic world they had constructed together. All of these disparate clues, from missing photos and skipped weddings to altered song lists and modified usernames, weave together to form a tapestry of profound relational tension. It is a stark reminder that behind the glamorous arrivals, the critical acclaim, and the public declarations of eternal love, celebrity couples are ultimately human beings vulnerable to the same vulnerabilities, distance, and exhaustion that can threaten any partnership. The contrast between his choice to keep wearing the wedding ring and her systematic removal of his presence from her public life creates a palpable narrative tension, leaving the audience suspended in a moment of uncertainty as they watch two people who once seemed so perfectly aligned try to navigate the wreckage of a dream that has encountered the harsh realities of the world. The unfolding crisis in this high-profile marriage is particularly poignant because it stands in such stark, painful contrast to the absolute certainty and cinematic romance that define the couple's initial journey together. To fully comprehend why this separation has sent such a profound shockwave through the entertainment community, one must look back to the very beginning of their story. A narrative that began in 2021 and initially felt destined to become a lifelong partnership. When the celebrated songwriter and producer first crossed paths with the actress at a gathering, the connection was so instantaneous and overwhelming that he would later openly compare the moment to a classic, sweeping Hollywood script that felt almost too perfect to be real. By his own admission, the interaction defied belief, shattering his previous perceptions of romance and instantly inspiring him to envision major personal milestones, such as marriage, that he had never seriously contemplated before entering her orbit. This rapid evolution from an unexpected meeting to a deeply felt proposal in 2022 culminated in a magnificent, star-studded wedding ceremony in August of 2023. An event held in New Jersey that was attended by some of the most influential figures in modern music and cinema. That celebration was not just a union of two people, but a merging of two distinct, immensely successful creative worlds, celebrated by a global fan base as a rare example of true artistic and romantic harmony. The actress, whose captivating performances have earned her immense critical acclaim, brought a rich legacy of artistic excellence to the relationship, establishing her own formidable identity independent of her famous family background. Meanwhile, her husband continued his historic run as a primary architect of contemporary pop and alternative music, collecting numerous Grammy Awards and consistently shaping the global charts through his tireless dedication in the recording studio. This immense professional success, however, carried the very seeds of the challenges that would later threaten their union, as the demanding realities of their respective careers began to exert an unforgiving pressure on their shared domestic life. The journey of a world-renowned music producer requires an almost permanent commitment to late-night studio sessions, intensive songwriting collaborations, and grueling international touring schedules that leave very little room for traditional domestic stability. Concurrently, the career of a top-tier actress demands months of absolute isolation on distant film sets around the world, completely immersed in complex roles and subject to the unpredictable schedules of major cinematic productions. When these two lifestyles collide, the logistical strain can quickly become overwhelming, transforming the beautiful, idealized romance of their early years into an exhausting struggle to maintain a basic emotional connection across different time zones and continents. It is this fundamental conflict between artistic devotion and relational survival that lies at the very heart of their current public struggle, illustrating the profound sacrifices that often accompany extraordinary professional success. The sight of the musician walking through Brooklyn with his wedding ring firmly intact, contrasted against the actress's deliberate steps to establish digital and physical boundaries, highlights a deeply human dilemma that resonates far beyond the confines of celebrity culture. It represents the painful, universal process of two people who care deeply for one another, trying to figure out how to navigate a highly complicated path forward when their life trajectories seem to be pulling them in completely opposite directions. The silence that both individuals have maintained since the news of their separation broke speaks to the seriousness of the situation, a mutual decision to protect the intimacy of their struggle from the relentless noise of the public arena. As the entertainment world watches this story continue to develop, the overarching sentiment is not merely one of curiosity, but of genuine empathy for two remarkably talented individuals confronting a major turning point in their personal histories. Whether the gold ring on his left hand signifies an enduring hope for reconciliation, a respectful nod to a beautiful chapter of his life, or a slow and painful transition toward a new reality remains to be seen. What is entirely clear is that the bond they forged during their time together was deep, genuine, and profoundly impactful, leaving an indelible mark on both of their lives and the art they created during their union. As they continue to navigate this rocky and deeply personal landscape away from the cameras, their journey stands as a powerful testament to the complexities of love, fame, and the delicate balance required to sustain a marriage under the unrelenting spotlight of the modern world.